She married him for his trust fund. We all know she was nothing before. My sister-in-law Lauren announced to 23 family members at Thanksgiving dinner, not knowing I'd been her silent business partner for 3 years. My husband David squeezed my hand under the table, unaware I was about to destroy the woman who'd tormented me since our wedding day. But would she still be smirking when she discovered who really owned the building her boutique operated from? My name is Carmen Valdez, and this is how I dismantled my brother's wife with a single email. I met David at a coffee shop 5 years ago. He was reading a worn paperback, I was debugging code on my laptop, and we argued for 20 minutes about whether his coffee order, oat milk cortado with lavender, was pretentious. He insisted yes, but ordered it anyway. I fell in love with his self-aware absurdity. What I didn't know was that David came from old Dallas money. 3 generations of oil executives, a trust fund that kicked in at 30, family name on hospital wings. He wore thrift store sweaters and drove a 2010 Prius. So the wealth revelation came 3 months into dating, when his mother called about the annual charity gala. I should probably mention, he said sheepishly, my family has money. How much money? The kind where my brother's wife Lauren will assume you're after it. He was right. Lauren took one look at me, daughter of immigrants, state school education, working as a freelance developer, and decided I was a gold digger. At our first meeting, she actually circled me at the country club, appraising. So you're David's friend. What do your parents do? My mom cleans houses. My dad drives trucks. Her smile could have curdled milk. How wonderful that David's so open-minded. The wedding was worse. Lauren, married to David's brother James for 2 years, appointed herself guardian of the family fortune. She whispered through the ceremony, poisoned conversations at the reception, and gave a toast that included the phrase, "Hopefully this lasts longer than David's usual phases." David wanted to cut her off, but James was his only sibling. I told him not to worry. Lauren wasn't worth fracturing his family over. What David didn't know was that I wasn't the struggling developer Lauren assumed. 3 years before meeting him, I'd sold my startup to Microsoft for $8 million. Quietly, anonymously, keeping my name off press releases. I continued freelancing because I loved coding, lived modestly because I didn't need flash, and never mentioned the money because it wasn't relevant to who I was. But I kept tabs on Lauren. Her boutique, Laurel and Grace, launched a year after our wedding with mysterious funding she claimed came from family connections. She played successful businesswoman on Instagram, posting about building her empire and self-made success. The truth? James had begged David for a loan. $300,000 from his trust to fund Lauren's dream. David gave it freely. Family helped family. Lauren never thanked me for not objecting to my husband funding her business. Instead, she escalated. Every family dinner included jabs about my quaint little computer job and questions about when I'd contribute financially to the family. She'd buy designer bags, then ask if I needed to borrow money. She'd mention David's trust fund constantly, always with implications. Must be nice, she'd say, going from nothing to everything just by saying I do. I endured it for David. Until Thanksgiving. We'd hosted at our house, the modest 3-bedroom we'd bought together, not the mansion Lauren expected David to own. I'd cooked for 2 days, preparing my grandmother's recipes, making everything from scratch. Lauren arrived late, carrying store-bought pie, wearing a dress that cost more than most people's rent. How domestic, she said, surveying my dining room. Though I suppose when you marry money, you can afford to play housewife. I still work, I said mildly. Those little websites? That's not a career, sweetie. That's a hobby David subsidizes. The evening deteriorated from there. Lauren held court, telling stories about her boutique's success, how she'd built it from nothing, how some people create value while others just marry it. Then, during dessert, after 3 glasses of wine, she made her announcement. A toast, Lauren stood, tapping her glass. To family. Blood family, married family, and... She looked directly at me. Those who married into family for obvious reasons. The room went silent. Look at the gold digger pretending to be successful, she continued. We all know you married David for money. It's not shameful. Lots of girls from your background would do the same. But pretending you're some successful developer? Please. We've all seen your car. My 2015 Honda Civic. Reliable, paid off, perfect for my needs. David started to stand, fury in his eyes, but I touched his arm. Smiled. Pulled out my phone. You're right, Lauren. I should be more transparent about my finances. I opened my email, typed quickly, hit send. Her phone buzzed immediately. She glanced at it, annoyed, then froze. What is? Read it out loud, I suggested sweetly. Her voice shook. Dear Ms. Castellan, as your silent partner and primary investor, I'm invoking Clause 47B of our agreement. All funding is withdrawn effective immediately. You have 72 hours to buy out my stake or cease operations. I don't understand, James said, taking the phone. 3 years ago, I said, standing, someone approached me about investing in a boutique. Anonymous deal through my lawyer. I provided $800,000 in funding, startup costs, inventory, 2 years rent. In exchange, I own 60% of Laurel and Grace. Lauren's face went from red to white to green. The building your boutique operates from? I bought that too. You've been paying rent to my LLC. That's impossible. My investor was. Anonymous. Yes. Hi. The room exploded. James turned to Lauren, confused. David stared at me in shock. Lauren sank into her chair. But the $300,000 from David went directly to personal expenses. The Bentley, the jewelry, the trips to Europe. I have the receipts. The actual business funding? All mine. I pulled up documents on my tablet, projecting them to the TV. Bank statements, contracts, ownership papers. Every time you called me a gold digger, you were speaking from a business I funded. Every Instagram post about being self-made, posted from a store I own. Every designer bag you bought to mock my income, purchased with profits from my investment. You set me up, Lauren whispered. No, I gave you every opportunity to succeed. You have a good location, quality inventory, decent marketing. The business could thrive. But you spent so much energy tearing me down, you forgot to build yourself up. I showed the next slide, financial statements. You're bleeding money, spending twice what you earn, using new investor funds to pay old debts. Classic pyramid structure. Without my backing, you're bankrupt in 72 hours. Please, Lauren's voice cracked. I'll apologize. To whom? To me. To David? To every family member you've poisoned against me? To every dinner you've ruined with your venom? David finally spoke. You knew? This whole time. I wanted to tell you, but I needed Lauren to hang herself with her own rope. Every insult, every sneer, every accusation of gold digging while she was literally living off my gold. James stood up, face twisted with rage, at Lauren, not me. You told me the investor was your sorority sister. You lied. I didn't know it was her. Lauren protested. Would it have mattered? I asked. If you'd known the gold digger was funding your dreams, would you have treated me differently? Or would you have just been more careful with your insults? Silence. Here's my offer, I said. I'll give you 30 days instead of 72 hours. You can find new investors, though good luck explaining why your silent partner fled. Or you can buy me out at market value, approximately $2 million, given current valuations. I don't have $2 million. Then you have 30 days to find it. Or close. This is cruel, Lauren's mother finally spoke. You're destroying her over petty insults. No, I corrected. I'm exercising my legal rights as an investor. Lauren destroyed herself by spending money she didn't have on a lifestyle she couldn't afford while attacking the very person funding her fantasy. I looked at Lauren directly. Every single thing you accused me of, marrying for money, being nothing without David, living off someone else's success, that's your biography, not mine. The truth bomb exploded. I showed them everything. The Microsoft acquisition. My current clients, Fortune 500 companies. The apps I developed that they all had on their phones. My actual net worth, which exceeded David's trust fund by a factor of 3. I fell in love with David when I thought he was a broke philosophy grad student, I said. I married him knowing his family would assume the worst of me. I stayed silent while Lauren tortured me because I wanted to protect his relationship with James. But tonight, I looked at Lauren, mascara streaming down her face. Tonight you called me a gold digger in my own home, at my own table, eating food I cooked with my own hands. So tonight, you learn who really needed whose gold. David stood, walked over, and kissed me in front of everyone. I'm sorry you went through this alone. I was never alone. I had you. James grabbed Lauren's arm. We're leaving. As they gathered coats, Lauren turned back. The boutique is everything to me. I know, I said simply. The way my dignity was everything to me. You took one. Now you've lost the other. They left. The family sat in stunned silence until David's cousin Marcus started slow clapping. Others joined. Even David's mother, who'd always been cool toward me, raised her glass. To Carmen, she said, who apparently could have bought and sold us all while we were judging her shoes. The aftermath was swift. Lauren spent 2 weeks frantically seeking investors. None materialized. Word spread quickly about why her silent partner withdrew. She approached me through lawyers, through James, through David, begging for extensions, payment plans, mercy. I gave her exactly what she'd given me. Nothing. Laurel and Grace closed December 15th. Lauren had to sell the Bentley, the jewelry, everything to pay creditors. James filed for divorce when he discovered the extent of her deception. She'd been taking money from his accounts too, claiming it was for the business, but spending it on herself. She moved back to Houston with her parents. Last I heard, she was working at her father's insurance firm, posting motivational quotes about rising from ashes and learning from mistakes. David and I are stronger than ever. He jokes that he's the one who married up, technically true given our bank accounts. His family treats me differently now, not because of the money, but because I'd shown patience, restraint, and strategic thinking they hadn't expected from the gold digger. We still live in our modest house. I still drive the Honda. David still orders pretentious coffee. But now, at family dinners, no one questions whether I belong. Lauren's boutique space? I converted it into a coding academy for underprivileged kids. Free classes, free equipment, teaching them skills that create real value. The sign on the door reads, "Success isn't inherited or married into, it's built." Lauren would hate it. That's why it's perfect.